This program raises questions. This program is for people who find it hard to trust God. The best answers are wrapped in flesh and blood. My friends, people who are enduring real tragedies every single day. Quadriplegia, muscular dystrophy, stroke, bankruptcy, loneliness, singleness. We're going to talk to those very people who have touched my life.
Go, Bernice, finish it up!
I'm Jean Driscoll, and Joni Eariksson-Tada and I met one another at the Paralympic Games in Sydney in 2000. And she was our chaplain, and when I wasn't racing in the evening, I would go to the Bible studies that she was leading. When she returned to California, she talked to John Wern, who is the director of Wheels for the World, and said, we need to get Jean Driscoll on a Wheels for the World outreach. We got to get these girls under 60, though.
Yeah.
They can do it.
Would like to see what Raphael can do.
I have never been part of the distributions. I have always come to run a wheelchair track camp with athletes who have disabilities in this country.
So the first year, I remember this nice-looking young man with this huge smile who was very friendly, and they all have huge smiles and are friendly, but Raphael was particularly friendly, and he got into one of the racing chairs, which were somewhat antiquated, but were better than an everyday chair or no chair. And he was trying to figure out how to make his legs stay, and so I went over and I helped him with the strap, and then I handed him a helmet, and he put the helmet on backwards. I got such a kick out of that because to me it just was, I didn't even think about the way I put on my helmet. And it gave me pause. I thought, wow, these people haven't even held a bike helmet, much less know how to put it on. The chair that Raphael was using wasn't the best in the bunch, and it got him around the track, but it wasn't working very well. But he was so patient, and he was having such a good time that it made me feel good about the work that I was doing there.
Yep, Jean and I met at the Sydney Paralympic Games, and I'm wearing my Paralympic shirt just to prove it. I got my medals from Cuba, from China, from Spain, from all over. And you know, when you hear the words Olympic gold medal champion or 8-time winner of the Boston Marathon, you don't think of people in wheelchairs. But hey, that's Jean Driscoll. She's breaking all the stereotypes. She is a world-class athlete, and she does not let her disability stand in the way. Jean's got her master's in rehab administration from the University of Illinois, and Sports Illustrated for Women voted her as one of the top 25 female athletes of the 20th century. But as you can already see, this lady does not rest on her laurels. I mean, her life is about more than just gold or silver. She knows there is a big, wide world out there with other people like her with disabilities, who will never enjoy the privileges she has. And that's why Jean Driscoll is a tireless leader who is passionate about investing her time and her energy into the lives of other athletes who've never enjoyed those opportunities she has or those resources. She is a global advocate and a hands-on coach with our Wheels for the World outreach here at our ministry, traveling to Ghana, West Africa, to teach athletes with disabilities there about the sport of wheelchair track. And in our time together, you are going to get to know the heart of my friend Jean Driscoll. And you'll also get to meet the people that she has coached onto the world stage of Olympic-level competition. Raphael Ngegbe and Ajara Husenga from Ghana. And best of all, you will see what it means to go. I mean, really go for the gold.
One of the greatest things that ever happened in my life as a kid was when I was in 4th grade, I learned how to ride a 2-wheel bike. Now, a lot of kids with spina bifida aren't able to ride any kind of bike, much less a 2-wheel bike, because they don't have the functional ability in their lower body. I couldn't run with the other kids. I couldn't even walk 1 block to school. And yet now I mastered this two-wheel bike. One day I was coming home from a babysitting job and I took a corner a little too sharply and my pedal dug into the cement. I fell on my hip and it dislocated. Over the next year, I had 5 major hip operations and spent the year in a body cast. And after I got my last body cast off, I was sent home to try to get flexible in my hips and knees. And we had to sell our piano in our living room so that we could fit a hospital bed in the middle of our living room. You made it!
Yeah.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
You all warmed up?
Yeah.
During the year that I went through all of the surgeries, I had a lot of time to think. And so during that year, my hope was that maybe after all of these surgeries, I would be better than before. And maybe my feet, instead of turning out to the side, would point forward. And it would be one more way that I was like everybody else. I just wanted to fit in. I didn't want to be different. I wanted to fit in and not be as noticeable and not stick out. And so this was my imagery. You feel good?
Yeah, I feel good.
You have a different helmet.
That is it?
That's not the one I got you.
No.
No. I'm not racing.
You're not racing.
No, I'm a fan. This should be down more in front of your forehead. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta look the part, dude.
Yeah, I'll lose it.
After I got my last body cast off, the doctor sent me home for a couple weeks to try to get flexible in my hips and my knees. And then I went back to have x-rays, and just from sitting up in bed, the hip was dislocating again. And so I wasn't able to get up and just walk with braces anymore. I was gonna need crutches and a wheelchair. And this isn't anything that I planned for after all of those surgeries. It wasn't anything that I had prepared myself for, so it was very devastating.
This is the test now.
Yep, this is the first test.
Yeah.
The big test is
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still have another day to think about that.
Yeah. After the year.
I was full of anger, and I was angry at God for a long, long time. Did you cut that? Why is this happening? You know, why is it always me? Why are you always picking on me? Why don't you pick on somebody like my sister or my brothers? I always thought that it was punishment, and that's why things were going wrong. So my image of God was just this angry God, and if he was mad at me, I was definitely mad at him. I'll be right behind you.
Go!
Come on, Twig! Go, go, go! When I got to high school, within the first couple weeks of being there, I met another kid with spina bifida who also used a wheelchair. And he said, how would you like to come and try wheelchair soccer? I was like, wheelchair soccer? How do you play soccer? You need your legs to play soccer. He's like, no, it's this really cool adapted sport. Well, I heard that word adapted and, you know, all the alarms went off inside. No way, it's not real sport. They're not real athletes. I'm not gonna go and do that. It's not for me.
This weekend, one of the neatest ladies I've met in racing, Joni Driscoll is here. She won Blues Day 12 times in a row. Joni's here with an athlete from Ghana, and we have the first Central African disabled athlete with us here this weekend, Raphael Nkegbe, who's sitting right here. And his prologue time, 2:24, 8th place. Good job.
Finally, I decided, okay, I'll go to one soccer practice. I know I'm not gonna like it. So when I got to the soccer practice, it was nothing like I thought it was gonna be. Chairs are crashing and banging, bodies are flying, and I thought, this is sports. This is awesome. So from there, I found out about wheelchair ice hockey and wheelchair football and softball. I found out about square dancing. You name the sport, I tried it. And eventually, I was recruited to the University of Illinois to play wheelchair basketball.
And I'll tell you, we will be We will be approaching the start line from behind the start line. So you'll see the course right from the start line on. This hill is pretty steep, actually. It has 2 grades to it. It goes up for a while.
Not only did I play wheelchair basketball, but I also got involved in the track and road racing program. But all of a sudden, I was surrounded by people who were seeing things in me that I didn't see in myself. And they really brought me out of the doubt that I had about maybe what I could do. Even though I had that fire inside and that competitiveness, I still had a lot of uncertainty about what I could do. Well, in 1989, I came to Bloomsday in Spokane, Washington, and won my first national level road race. So I called Marty, and I was so excited that I'd finally broken through and won my first national level race. He was excited too, and when I got back to Champaign, he said, "See, Jean, you're stronger than you think you are. I really believe you need to do a marathon. You're built perfectly for it." I thought, the only way I'm gonna get Marty to stop talking about this marathon stuff is if I do one marathon, and I'm only doing one. So we went to Chicago, and my goal was to finish under 2 hours. When I came across the finish line, I finished 7 seconds under 2 hours. Marty came up to me and said, "Jean, do you realize what you did?" I said, "I came across the finish line and I ran a sub 2 hour marathon, my first marathon." And he said, "Yeah, and you qualified to do the Boston Marathon." And I just stopped in my tracks. I said, "Marty, I don't want to do any more marathons. This one hurt. My hands were bleeding. I was so sore. I did not want to do another marathon." And he said, "Jean, people dream about doing the Boston Marathon. You can't qualify for Boston and not do it." So the following spring, I found myself in the Boston Marathon.
Thousands of people down here as they get their staggered start. I hear the motorcycles now starting to fire up as the police escort in front. There'll be some motorcycle police officers, followed then by a media truck as they get ready now for the start of the wheelchair race. And the media truck is lined up. We've got
Raphael is probably warming up along here this morning with the University of Illinois team. He came to my room this morning and we prayed before his race. He also, before we even flew out here, he asked to pray before we left the house. So he's a neat guy.
We are less than 1 minute away from the start. It starts at 8:40.
behind us. You'll hear the countdown as the announcer starts to make that big 10, 9, 8 countdown in just a second. Now we're getting the countdown as we get ready to start.
How nervous are you? On a scale of 1 to 10.
And then mine.
As I'm sitting on the starting line of my first Boston Marathon, I'm yelling at Marty. "Marty, I can't believe I let you talk me into this. I don't belong in this race. We haven't done the hill work. I am not going to make it through to the finish line." And then the race starts, and I start going.
You can see everybody getting to go. We're about 5 seconds away. Let's listen for the starting gun. There we go. The start of 32nd Bloomsday as the wheelchair racers take off. There they go, and they just tear up the course here as they move down Riverside. And they are already really on their way.
And we're going to toss things over to Tom Hudson and Mike Boyle. Hey, guys.
Hey, mile 3 was 10:26 in second, and I don't know who's in third.
What a climb going up that hill.
Yeah.
I just can't even imagine the amount of...
I didn't think I belonged in the race. I didn't think I prepared enough, but I wasn't taking into consideration the weight training, the time trials into 25-mile-an-hour headwinds, and obviously I didn't realize how good my training base was. So when I came across the finish line of my first Boston Marathon, not only did I win, but I broke the world record by almost 7 minutes. When I got back to Champaign, the whole community was celebrating. They were so excited for me. I went back to Boston in '91. I won the marathon again, broke the world record again. Went back in '92, won the marathon again, broke the world best again. I was honored with a Jean Driscoll Day after my second Boston Marathon, and it was about 2 months before my third Boston Marathon. And this woman, Debbie Richardson, was helping to organize the event, and so I had an occasion to get to know her. She had a piece that I had never seen before, and I wanted to be around her. But God used that event and this woman to soften my heart to Him. And so in 1992, I prayed to God and asked for Him to come into my heart. At that time, even, I didn't realize how much more real He would make Himself in my life. And the things that would ultimately help me recognize His sovereignty and His creativity and the fact that He had worked for me, the fact that I was made in His image, and that there were specific things that He had for me to do was very exciting. My life verse is John 17:4. Jesus is praying in the garden before He's handed over, and He says, "I have brought you glory on earth by completing the work you gave me to do." And that has always been my goal now, that He is glorified by the work that I do, that He has placed before me.
Others might collapse under the disappointment of spina bifida, but Jean has discovered a wonderful strength in the Lord. I mean, you can see it in her smile. And I should know. People often say the same thing about me. "Oh, Johnny, you got a great smile in that wheelchair." But confidence in what Jesus says, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, being disabled is hard. It's hard on your body, it's hard on your heart. I mean, I was an athlete when I was on my feet. I played tennis, hockey, I was into sports. And that's why when I first got out of the hospital after breaking my neck, I did not want to go to football or baseball games. It was just hard to sit there and even watch my sisters saddle up and go horseback riding like I used to do. I hated feeling so helpless and handicapped. And it took a long, long time for me to realize that there's more to life than being on your feet. I needed God's outlook on things, kind of the way Jean Driscoll just described it. And hey, look, Jean has struggled too. I mean, her disability hasn't come easy. Her smile didn't appear overnight. And this lady has wrestled through some deep wounds, and that's what makes her so real, so approachable, so like us all, despite her Olympic stature.
I was rescued when I moved to Illinois. I stopped being a burden. I stopped being a bad person. I stopped being a lowlife and no life, and there was value that I started to see in my life. And I feel like once I got into a new environment, I was able to sort of reinvent myself, or maybe more specifically, He reinvented me, or He began to show me what was beneath some of these layers of doubt and insecurity and questioning and anger and frustration, and through the friendship and the love of people and their encouragement and their support, and then also the tremendous blessing of success. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had value. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was at least on the same level as everybody else. Finally, I had arrived. Yeah, I think he finished 7th. He's in the money. It's very good. Very, very good. Can't wait to see him now. Oh. 7th place.
Yeah.
7th. Finished in the money.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I'm happy too.
Yeah. We'll see you back there.
Okay.
I retired from my racing career after the 2000 season. A couple months later, Joni and friends called and asked if I would be willing to teach a wheelchair track camp in Ghana, West Africa. When I got to Ghana, and I was expecting people to limp into the track stadium. Maybe some of these people were beneficiaries of the wheelchair distributions that Joni and friends had done, so maybe some people would be coming in wheelchairs. I suspected other people would be coming in on crutches.
1 minute. Find your lane. Last one.
But I was not prepared for the people who were crawling into the stadium on their hands and knees.
When you finish this 400, roll around and come back here, okay?
Okay. There were 32 people who showed up for this wheelchair track camp, and we had 7 racing chairs. Only 6 of them were functional. One of them had a couple flat tires.
Go! Go, 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 go! Last one!
The next year that I went back, the second year, I told John Wern that we needed to decrease the number of people coming to the training camp because I just didn't feel like it was effective to have so many people only be in a racing chair for 10 minutes.
59, 60. 60.
In 2004, when the Paralympic Games were held in Athens, for the first time in history, Ghana had representation. Raphael Nkegbe was the male, and Ajara Busenga was the female. There was a film crew who interviewed Raphael and Ajara, and John asked Ajara, how has life changed now that you have gotten into sports and now that you're at the Paralympic Games? And she said, now my family talks to me. Before, she wasn't invited to family meetings. She was fed on the floor and despised by her family, not respected, and now her family talks to her. She is respected. She's been to America. Apparently that's a huge dream of people in Ghana. And so Raphael and Ajara are 2 of the pioneers that have come out of what Joni and friends started as Wheels for the World.
I am amazed that Jean Driscoll has broken the world's best time in the Boston Marathon 5. I mean, count them, 5 times. I mean, that's a record that really inspires Raphael Ngegbe and Ajara Busenga to keep training. I mean, those guys are really on their way. Plus, they now have the chance to carry on the torch Jean Driscoll has passed to them. They will now invest their time and their energy into the lives of others like them in their own country, and those that they help will do the same. It's what it means to go for the gold. 1 Corinthians chapter 9 puts it this way. It says, everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that'll last forever. Friend, the cosmic stakes in this game of life are awfully high, and it's why it says elsewhere in the Bible not to focus on the passing things of this earth, but on eternal things, lasting things. I mean, we may think we can rest on our laurels, assuming that our achievements here on earth are it, but this life is not the only life there is. And God honors those who don't hoard the opportunities, but happily give a leg up to the next person in need. That's what Jean did, and that's what Raphael and Ajara are now doing. These 3 athletes, I tell you what, they inspire me to do the same. And that's why whenever Joni and Friends distributes wheelchairs and Bibles through Wheels for the World, we're always on the lookout for the next Raphael or Ajara. But it's not about mere athletics. I want you to understand that when you're disabled like Raphael or Ajara in some developing nation, you are spit upon, you are trampled upon, you are looked down upon, you are shoved aside, ignored, neglected, locked in back bedrooms. I mean, if you're in India You're on the very lowest rung of the caste system. And here Joni and Friends comes along, and we give hope, and we give help, and we give dignity and worth and value in the eyes of God. We have been given so much. You have been given so much. And God says, to whom much is given, much shall be required. Whenever and wherever we see a need, we are compelled, we are driven, like Jean, we are passionate about making a difference for Christ, especially to those who are forced to crawl through the dirt to find hope and help. As a follower of Jesus, I am in that race. I am in the game. I am in strict training, and all of us at Joni and Friends and Wheels for the World, we do it not to get a crown that will fade, but to gain the crown that will last forever, and to give crowns to others in developing nations. And friend, you need to be a part of that. You need to be a part of what we're doing. So would you please join me in investing your resources in the lives of others who do not have privileges or opportunities? Cheer us on, help us out, support our effort, get involved in a cause that's larger than yourself. Make a difference among the people for whom God has such a special affection. We need to hear from you today. So would you please visit JoniandFriendsTV.org or call us at our Joni and Friends toll-free number. Stand with us, pray with us, and I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. And until then, would you please follow Christ into the greatest race ever and go for the gold. Go for the crown that lasts, the crown that will last forever. Friends, would you please help us? Participate with us, pray with us, give us your gifts. I will be so bold as to ask, because God loves not only a cheerful giver, I'm convinced He loves a cheerful asker. And I'm asking you to partner with us to promote the gospel, push back the darkness, advance the kingdom, and make a difference for Christ in the lives of millions of people with disabilities around the world. Please call our Joni and Friends 800 toll-free number or donate on our website at JoniandFriendsTV.org. All of us at Joni and Friends thank you from our hearts. God bless you as you pray and give.
This program was made possible by generous people like you. For more information about Joni and Friends or to purchase a copy of today's program for $19.95, go to JoniandFriendsTV.org or call us at 1-800-957-7060. That's 1-800-957-7060.